Hello, welcome back. And here with his budget reply speech at the ready is Lyle Shelton from the Australian Christian Lobby. How are you, Lyle?
I'm really good, thanks, Kent.
Now, Lyle, the opinion polls are saying that last week's federal budget has been generally well received. What did the government get right?
Well, I think the government has gone out of its way to make sure it didn't have a repeat of last year's budget, the controversy of which has lasted right up until this budget, and it was a very unpopular one. So the government's gone out of its way not to annoy people, and it seems from the polls it's achieved that aim.
There was a promised crackdown on multinationals. You were saying, I think a few weeks ago, that the language sounded a bit weak, but that happened in the end.
Look, I think it certainly looks like a promising development. Joe Hockey is promising legislation to ensure that 30 companies which have been identified as using tax havens will be monitored, and to make sure that they are paying their fair share of tax. Joe Hockey's saying in the budget that billions of dollars, now that's a fairly loose figure, but he said it's in the billions that can be recouped as a result of this initiative. So that's certainly good news.
Yeah, I guess it's something also that Christian organisations have been campaigning on. I mean, possibly right back to the sort of Jubilee 2000 era. So it's good to see that one finally get over the line. What about, were there problems with the budget? Because obviously not everyone's happy, every year. Yeah,
there were some big problems with the budget, Kent, and going back to these issues which many Christian organisations have been campaigning on. For instance, the aid issue. Whilst the quantum or the total amount of money stayed the same, cuts had been announced last year, and those cuts were delivered on in this year's budget. We weren't surprised about the amount, but the detail showed that we're basically walking out of Africa with our aid, having secured our UN Security Council seat by I guess, garnering African votes through aid. Now that term on the UN Security Council is over, we're pulling our aid out, and of course we've reduced our aid dramatically to Indonesia.
Okay, and Lyle, you added your voice to the National Party, I believe, on the issue of family payments, particularly for when one parent is staying home looking after the kids.
Yeah, not just the National Party, but some of the crossbench senators, such as Senator Bob Day from Family First, and of course ACL's been very concerned about the inequity between stay-at-home parents and dual income parents. And whilst the childcare subsidies are certainly welcome, a lot of families are doing it tough trying to make ends meet. The families that have been left behind are those who are really sacrificing to look after the kids at home with one parent staying at home. And this budget has widened the gulf of inequity between them and those who are on dual income. So we expect that to be addressed in next year's budget and in a tax white paper that's coming up shortly.
Okay, well, it's good to know that you're keeping an eye on things for us, Lyle. Thanks so much for your time this week.
Pleasure, Kent. Thanks for having us.
And now it's over to James and Sue and Food in Focus.